Lucy stirred from her sleep, a vague discomfort clinging to her like a bad dream. The sheets felt strange against her skin, too tight. She stretched, trying to ease the growing tension that seemed to wrap around her like a straitjacket. Her skin itched, a deep, burning itch that scratching couldn't reach. She sat up, the movement sending ripples across her skin. It felt wrong, unnatural, like her flesh was no longer a part of her. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced through the fog of sleep. Her breath hitched in her throat, a silent plea for the feeling to pass. Panic welled up inside her, choking her. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of the morning. She had to ground herself to find a reason for this terror that was constricting her lungs, stealing her breath. Scrambling out of bed, Lucy stumbled, her balance off. The room seemed to tilt, her reflection in the darkened window wavering like a mirage. Her hand flew to her head, her fingers digging into her scalp as if to hold herself together. Her skin throbbed beneath her touch. The fear was morphing, twisting into something cold and alien. This wasn't just an itch, a trick of a tired mind. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Her reflection in the window pulsed, the shadows beneath her skin seeming to writhe. Driven by a primal need to understand, to see, she ran to the bathroom, the cold tiles a shock against her bare feet. Each step sent a fresh wave of nausea through her, the world around her blurring at the edges. The fluorescent light of the bathroom was harsh, unforgiving. Lucy stared at her reflection, her breath catching in her throat. Outwardly, she looked the same. Tired eyes, messy hair, but beneath the surface, something was terribly wrong. Her skin, once smooth and familiar, now bulged and shifted. It was as if something was moving beneath it, pressing against the thin membrane that held her together. She pressed her hand against her stomach, feeling the unnatural movement beneath her touch. Her stomach lurched, and she doubled over, pain lancing through her. It felt like her insides were being wrung out, twisted and contorted by unseen hands. She gripped the edge of the sink, her knuckles white, her body trembling. Section 4. The Unveiling. Tears streamed down her face, hot and desperate. She had to get help, had to call someone, anyone, but her voice died in her throat, a strangled gasp. Her vision swam, black spots dancing at the periphery. Her reflection in the mirror was a grotesque mockery of her former self. Her skin stretched thin, translucent in places, revealing the pulsating mess beneath. Her insides, no longer content to remain hidden, were pushing their way out. She stumbled back from the horrifying sight, her foot catching on the edge of the bath mat. The world spun wildly as she fell, the back of her head connecting with the unforgiving tile with a sickening crunch. Section 5. A cry unheard. Her scream died in her throat, choked off by the sheer terror that consumed her. She lay sprawled on the cold tile, her limbs heavy and useless. The pain, once sharp and insistent, was fading, replaced by a chilling numbness. Her vision blurred, the light above flickering like a dying star. She tried to speak, to call for help, but her voice was gone. There was only the sound of her ragged breathing, each inhale a shallow victory against the darkness that threatened to engulf her. She could feel it now, the slow, inexorable pressure from within. Her skin stretched taut, split. It began as a hairline fracture on her arm, then another on her cheek. Each tear brought with it a fresh wave of nausea, the metallic tang of blood filling her mouth. Section 6. Consumed. The tearing spread, a macabre mosaic across her flesh. Tendrils of muscle and sinew, slick and pulsating, erupted from the widening fissures. She watched in horrified fascination as her own body betrayed her, her insides becoming her outside. Her scream, when it finally came, was a guttural sound born of pure, unadulterated terror. It echoed in the small bathroom, unanswered, unheard. She was alone, adrift in a nightmare of her own flesh. As darkness finally claimed her, she saw her reflection one last time in the sliver of unbroken mirror by the sink. It wasn't her face staring back, but a roiling mass of viscera and bone, a grotesque parody of human anatomy. Section 7. The True Monster. The bathroom was silent, the air thick with the metallic scent of blood. Lucy's clothes lay scattered on the floor, the only evidence of the horror that had unfolded within those four walls. The monster that had consumed her was gone, leaving behind only a chilling question. What happens when the monster isn't something you can outrun, but something you can never escape because it lives inside you? The true horror, it seemed, wasn't what we could see, but what lurked beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to turn us inside out.